gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, equities, everything is volatile. I will say this, that precious metals seem to be holding their own. They're not really getting as clubbed as some of the other indices are. And look, the bottom line is where I think we are heading here, she who loses least wins. And I would rely upon gold and silver, which are woefully undervalued in relation to financial assets, rather than banking on the Fed. Because if they make a wrong turn here, which, who's to believe that they'll make the right turn? They haven't been honest with us forever. They told us that, the subprime crisis was contained in '08. They told us inflation was transitory, and yet they continue to add to their balance sheet. Once they told us that it wasn't transitory, they tell us they're going to sell off their balance sheet, but not till June. They tell us they're going to make meaningful increases in interest rates, yet they said they're not going to go above 50 basis points. Look, the bottom line is the Fed is trapped, and I think when the market realizes, and I don't think the market figured it out yet, the market realizes that they're trapped, things are going to get really, really, really interesting. And I think volatility will be the buzzword, as will counterparty risk, for the second half here of 2022. If they really wanted to fix it, they'd stop screwing around with 50 basis points and they'd go 500 basis points or 600 basis points. They'd stop messing around with saying we're going to sell our balance sheet, pare it down, or start to tighten in June, and they would have done it last meeting or the meeting before. If they were really serious about it, once they admitted it wasn't transitory, why did they continue to add to it? They realize the market cannot handle the medicine. They understand that. Intuitively, and I think they're jawboning. And I really think if you were to say, was this all set up? Are they trying to blow up the system and create a villain? Yeah. I mean, I could make a story where this is all set up and they're trying hard to blow up the system, and they will blame the Saudis, the Russians, and the Chinese, and the BRICS nations who move away from the dollar and find a new currency to settle energy, and it won't just be the dollar. When that moment happens and all those dollars come flooding home, it does all the dirty work for Powell. They don't have to be the ones that raised the rates. It was those awful BRICS nations that gave up on the dollar, and they have a villain. And because you can tell by it's like, don't do as I do as I say. Well, with them, their actions are betraying their rhetoric. And that's the bottom line. The Fed is not getting tough on inflation. And anyone who thinks a 50 basis point increase in rates went to 75 basis points, not even 1% on the federal funds rate, 3% on the 10-year Treasury. If anyone thinks that's getting tough on inflation with 9% inflation, I have a bridge to sell you. It's not getting tough on inflation. And you can see the ramifications. Look, by raising the federal funds rate by just 50 basis points, look at what's happened to the mortgage rate. If they really want to get tough, I think, they could start selling their $1 trillion in mortgage-backed securities, dumping them onto the market. Watch what happens to interest rates. Watch what happens to the mortgage rate. Watch what happens to the housing market. The commercial real estate market. These are things people really aren't factoring in. And I think a lot of people think that the Fed will come in and make this all better and a soft landing, and they're all going to be caught off guard, woefully off guard. And for those people out there lamenting about how gold and silver have not performed the way they should have, the way that intuition would tell us, remember what I've always said about misdirection. They are misdirecting because rising gold and silver exacerbate the impetus or the understanding that the emperor is not wearing any clothes. It's the wizard behind the curtain, and they don't want to pull that curtain back because rising gold and silver really signal the frailty of the whole system. And I think it's not a rush to liquidity. It's not a rush to liquidity at all. It's damage control. And it's getting harder and harder and harder and harder to do that. I will say this, they're damn good at it. They're damn good at creating a reality through price. And it's amazing they've been able to keep the price of gold and silver down as long as they have. And you wonder, why aren't big institutions and big industrials and sovereign governments not just draining COMEX? And maybe we'll cross that Rubicon here real soon once it becomes painfully obvious to everybody that the Fed is caught. And if they reverse course, if the markets really start to throw up, if we get to that point where it really starts to crescendo into a disorderly sell-off, not an orderly sell-off, but a disorderly sell-off, then I could see them reversing course. And when that moment happens, the world knows that they are going to sacrifice the dollar in favor of the economy. And this is the trap that they are in right now. And they're very reactionary. I don't think at this point there's anything that they can do proactively other than get tough on inflation and blow up the system.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dahn, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dahn.